Welcome, dear students. In the current session, I would talk about new words that were added into modern English during 19th and the 20th centuries. I hope and expect by the end of this session, you would be able to understand what was the nature of these words, and especially you would understand what were the ways and techniques and strategies that were used to create these words. Well, I hope you know that during the 19th and the 20th century, there was an immense increase in vocabulary items. Well, the question is, how were they formed? To form this fund of vocabulary, to form it, scientists drew on various sources, various strategies that they used, the ways that they use. They added a lot of words to the language. So one of the strategies was that already a word exists. Now, already if a word exists, it is used already in a general sense. Now it is given a specific meaning. In this way, chemists have done, so with salt, the word already existed. Botanists with fruit and pollen. Zoologists with parasite. To take over words bodily from another language, this is the other way, the second strategy. This strategy is the second one that is used. Words are brought into English from other languages. So, for instance, from Latin, bacillus, corolla, sphagnum, tibia. These are all the words that were borrowed from Latin. Again, from Greek language, acne, eczema. From German, especially in the fields of chemistry, and mineralogy, a lot of words were added. Cobalt, paraffin, and quartz are examples. From the names of modern European scientists, sometimes a name is needed, so the scientist who would do something important, that thing would be named after him. Some part of his name would be used, or his full name would be used for that. So, for example, scientific units, Colomb, French. Sometimes, the words would come from the language, sometimes from the people. Gauss, Ohm, these are German. Angstrom, Swedish, and Volt, Italian. An extremely common way, my dear students, of making new items of vocabulary or to invent words is, by using the materials taken from Greek and Latin languages. Source would be taken, something would be taken from Greek or Latin language, then it would be modified, it would be given a different shape and form, and it would be used. So, from Greek, these words have origin. Anode, cathode, electrolysis, electron, etc. From Latin language, we have accumulator, habitat, hibernate, invertebrator, and transliterate. So, all these words that we use in our everyday language, a lot of them come from various Greek and Latin sources. Sometimes Greek sources do not come directly. They come via the channel of Latin language or any other modern language. So, for instance, many modern words contain both the items, Greek plus Latin items. Notice these: biosphere, hemoglobin, and microspecies. One part would be taken from Greek language, the other from Latin language, and they would be brought together. There is another tendency in language, that is to shorten the words to create new words. One of the interesting examples is of mob. We all use the word mob. This came through the colloquial channel. So, sometimes the words first are introduced as colloquial words where, people in everyday talk, when not a formal situation, they would use it. And then gradually it would become a standardized word. Sometimes to create a new vocabulary item, the ending of a word would be chopped off. It would be cut off. Look at the word cab. We often call a cab when we need to travel. And you know what is the actual word? Cabriolet. Same goes for photo. We use it, very frequently in our life, the word photo. The original word is photograph. Sometimes successive phases of shortening take place. For example, public house with the passage of time became public. It was called public instead of public house. And then came a time when it was called pub. The other example is of, taximeter cab. This was the original, phrase. That was, with the passage of time, changed into taxi cab. And now what do we use? Taxi only. Beginning of the word is also sometimes chopped off or cut off. So, for example, acute becomes cute and omnibus becomes bus for us. And we use it only as, this small second half of the word. We are very much familiar with the advertisements that we watch on television and that are, on the billboards around everywhere and in the newspapers. And we frequently use the word ad for them. This shift from advertisement to ad and this acceptance of ad as a word in itself, is a process of how vocabulary is developed. Same goes for the case of exam, made from examination. Gym from gymnasium. And a very interesting one, van from caravan. Sometimes through blending, new words are made. We often use the word brunch. On Sundays, most of the times, the Pakistanis would like to have brunch. Brunch is a combination of the words breakfast and lunch. They are combined together. They are blended together to make it. Such blends are sometimes called portmanteau words, a term that was taken from Lewis Carroll. He was famous for making such blends. For example, slithy from lathy and slimy, mimsy from miserable and flimsy. Joining these two, the word mimsy he made. Overall, what we'd say is there was a huge increase of words during the period of the 19th and the 20th century, and there was not one particular technique or strategy or way how these words were added into language or were created. Multiple strategies and ways were used.